Hey there, wellness entrepreneur. Today, I'm honored to have on special guest Christina, who is going to be talking about her success with workshops. And Christina's been on the podcast episode before. We'll link the previous episode in the podcast. But for those that might have missed that episode, Christina, tell us like who you are and what you do and where they can find you. All the things.
Hi, Allison. Thanks for having me on. I am Christina Zhang. I'm the owner and physical therapist of Holistic Healing Physical Therapy. I specialize in pelvic floor physical therapy, but also see a little bit of orthopedics. But the main thing I do is pelvic floor therapy. Um, yeah. So, and I practice here in San Diego, California. It's just a solo practice, just me for now.
Love it. Love it. So when we first met, when you first started working with me, at the time you were a mobile physical therapist and you
Mhm.
had a couple patients. And I remember you were such a go-getter. You went out there and you created all these workshops all right off the bat. So can you tell us, because I know, because I've taught a lot of workshops here in San Diego, how you first got those workshops in the books? Because I know sometimes as a wellness entrepreneur, if you're just starting business and you don't have those contacts yet, it can
Mhm.
seem like a daunting task, especially when you're getting a lot of no's. So how did you get your first workshops in the books?
I really just did sort of a shotgun approach where I looked at all the gyms around my area. And since my demographic that I treat is females, I do female pelvic floor. I looked at studios such as yoga studios, Pilates, and other fitness type of facilities where they would mainly have a mainly have women or a big population of women. And I just spent a weekend and I looked through, searched through Google, wrote
Hmm.
out an email and sent emails to every single place.
I love
And
it.
I did a flyer type of thing where I listed out all the different kinds of workshop ideas that
Mm-hmm.
they can pick from. Uh, I don't remember how many I sent out, probably 25 to 50. And I got a handful back. And with
Hmm.
that handful, I just did several workshops with each of those locations. And I was able to bring in clients through that.
Yeah, you were able to bring in enough clients where within 6 months you had your own brick and mortar practice.
Yes, within 6 months, I signed a lease on my own brick and mortar. I actually started with I think 6 weeks in a acupuncturist office
Hmm.
for a few days, and then I was growing more and needed more time in the clinic. So I went ahead and signed a lease on my own and have been able to maintain a full schedule for the most part. Of course, there's ups and downs,
Hmm.
and in the meantime, I continue to do workshops, not as frequently, but they were a good way for me to bring in clients.
Yeah, yes, you were doing goodness. I think maybe three a
Yeah,
month
at one
for a
point, like
bit.
3 workshops a month.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
that was a
insane.
lot. But you got great lift off in your business, and because you did some workshops, that led to other workshops. Or if I remember correctly, there were a YMCA. There was a few places that wanted to have you back, whether it was because workshops sold out or you needed to add in a second day. Sometimes
Mhm,
because workshops sold out, so that
mhm.
created workshops in the future as well.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Some of them invited me back. And
Mhm.
for some of the workshops, I created kind of like a series of like, okay, we do this. And then the
Mhm.
next workshop, we're going to build on this first workshop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I've done free ones and paid ones. The I kind of feel like with the free ones, I had a little bit more traction as far as
Okay.
bringing people in. With the paid ones, which you, Allison, have told me, like those can work, but when you offer something paid, people come in expecting to to have all the knowledge, all the
Sure.
tools they need.
Yeah.
So they feel like they don't need to see you,
Yeah.
you know,
Afterwards.
afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes that's the case. Yeah. So I love that. So the framework's easy, right? You just got to research the places that where your ideal audience is hanging out,
Mhm.
email a bunch of them with make it simple for the studios with ideas and topics that you're an expert in and present those ideas to them. And a percentage of them will say yes if you email and reach out to enough people. And that will lead to contacts for future workshops as well. So then it becomes a rinse and repeat process where every
Mhm.
time you teach, you learn a little bit more, you get a little bit better. When you actually were teaching the workshops, what do you think helped you the most in terms of getting clients and patients from them?
Um, Speaking to why their needs, basically
Hmm.
how this affects their life. It's not just, and this is something you taught me really well. It's not just about um get pain free. You
Hmm.
know,
Or
it's more
anatomy.
about,
Mhm.
right. It's not about anatomy. It was more about their life, why this is important to them. Like, stop leaking. Yes, I'm gonna help you stop leaking, but why? It
Mhm.
was getting to the stop uh I'm gonna help you stop leaking so that you can get back to working out, doing that exercise. You can get back to running, or you can jump around on a trampoline with your kids.
Mhm.
So it's speaking to the person and their life and how it's going to improve their life, their quality of life.
Yeah, I love that because that makes all the information so valuable for them and it'll help the marketing a ton as well, which will help get more people in the workshop.
Right.
So tell me, when you were doing your workshops, you also are a mom and you
Mhm.
had your busy now patient schedule. How did you fit in the time?
I did them on well, for the YMCA, they liked me doing it on the weekday, so I would just block out a chunk of time out of my patient care schedule
Mhm.
and go do the workshop, come back and
Mm.
continue patient care.
Mhm.
Or the other one is on Saturdays. So some
Mhm.
places were open to Saturdays or actually worked out better for them on the weekends. So I would get a babysitter and do my workshop.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did so when we first started working together too, you weren't doing as much like paddleboarding and rock climbing and your own
Hmm.
self-care things, but you
Hmm.
actually added in a lot of that. So as your patient
Yeah.
schedule grew and your workshop schedule grew, so how did you fit all of that in?
It was really hard initially. It was really hard being a mom and running my practice. Uh, I struggled with that, and I know I talked to you a lot about that and feeling just burnt out. And you encouraged me to, you know, take that lunch break because I was not taking a lunch break. So like schedule in the lunch break.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I had decided early on that I only wanted to work 4 days and take that fifth day as admin day or just self care day or a mix of both, which is what
Mm-hmm.
I ended up doing. I When I got my own office, I my office hours are Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays I would reserve for my self-care stuff. So I would
Yeah.
go rock climbing, I would go meet up with friends, or I would do networking with people. So I'm still working sometimes, but at least it's at my pace and it's not patient care and it's
Mm-hmm.
things that I need to catch up with in life.
Mm-hmm.
So scheduling it in and making it a consistent thing was really helpful because initially I was like, okay, well next week I can put a little chunk of time for myself, and I end up filling that chunk of time with a patient or
Sure.
something else.
Yeah.
So having a dedicated time chunk really helped.
Yeah, I love that. And I think so many people can relate to that because time can be like a vacuum where there's an empty spot, it gets filled with something else if we don't block it off and we're intentional about it. And
Hmm.
so then the result of all this is you were able to move from being that mobile physical therapists who had to drive around to having a brick and mortar clinic. And
Hmm.
now you have a reliable process that you can use again and again to continue to bring in patients.
Right, right. And it feels good to know that, okay, my schedule is running low because there's patients that I've discharged and now I need to bring in a group of new
Mm-hmm.
patients. So gotta get back on the workshop train, basically.
Mm-hmm. The workshop tree. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, because it again, it's a system that you can do over and over again where you refine the process and then hopefully each time you do it, you bring in more patients. Or
Hmm.
if you have an off workshop, then you know why. For me, I sometimes had off workshops if I was trying a new topic, or maybe I was trying a new studio, or I varied my approach in the workshop, but at least I always could figure that out and be creative with the process.
Right. Yeah, and it's not all workshops bring in clients, but
Mhm.
um, for the most part, I feel like it has. And even the beauty of workshops too is if the studio markets you, they or market or send out emails, newsletter about your workshop coming up. I've actually gotten two clients from a an email that they sent out months ago that this client just happened to remember this person did this workshop here. Let me look in my email. And then they reached out to me. So even
Oh,
though
I
they
love
didn't
that.
attend my workshop, I was still that person that did that workshop was still on their mind.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
she was able to come in.
Yeah, you had the collaboration with the studios positions you as an expert, as an
Mhm.
authority. You have
Right.
immediate trust with that community. And it is a great way to build your email list as well, especially when you are collaborating with other studios
Hmm.
and they are promoting you out into their community.
Right. Right.
So, is there, if someone's thinking about teaching their first workshop, or maybe they've taught several workshops, but they actually haven't signed too many clients from them, what kind of advice or parting words would you have to share with them?
Don't get discouraged because it is nerve-wracking to do your first workshop. And my first workshop, for example, there were three people that came.
Hmm.
Yeah, there were three people that came, and two of the three actually signed up.
That's
But
amazing conversion right there.
that is considering the small crowd.
Yeah. So don't be discouraged if only a couple people show up. They could be the clients.
They could be, yeah. So don't be discouraged, and it's just about use it as a platform to practice.
Hmm.
You're practicing honing your skill, your material, your presentation, and what you have to offer. Um, and go in. For me, what helped is not have too high of an expectation. Don't go in thinking, "Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have 50 people and I'm gonna walk out with 30 clients," because that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about how if you get 10% of your attendees, that's actually pretty good. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what I've been seeing is if I get 10%, it's pretty good. And um, but know that when you do these workshops, even though they don't sign up with you now, they now have a reference person
Mhm.
for if they're when they're ready, or if you know their neighbor Jackie talks about their pelvic floor or whatever it is, and
Yes.
they're like, hey, you know what, I saw this girl come to my gym and she was talking about this and this, you should check her out.
Mhm.
So it's exposure. See, look at it as exposure and repetition. It's just you're just putting in the reps.
Mhm.
So don't get disheartened if you don't get a client or a lot of clients from it. It's just practice.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom and inspiring a lot of people to get out there and teach some workshops and sign some more clients and patients. Any parting words of wisdom?
Um, it's not always easy. It's never easy, but trust in your own what you have to offer. Trust in what you have to offer, and what you have to offer is to improve people's lives, and that's why you did it in the first place. Come from a genuine place and not a scarcity or a money scarcity mindset. And I think that helps, because when we come from scarcity, there's this added level of anxiety and stress,
Mhm.
and we tend to beat ourselves up if we don't fulfill what we're trying to do.
Yeah, 100%. Well said. Yes. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Allison, for everything.